Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Mr. Wiz here. If you are new to this channel, we build video games. Right now we're building games in Unity. In the last few videos, we've been working with animation, and right now we're in the middle of a project. We're building a dancing video with some animated characters. It's a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and look at what I've got here so far. I have added a couple things since the last video. So I do want to add lights that I can animate. So because the world was so bright, I did darken the skybox, and then I added these lights as spotlights that I have on the characters right now. They're very basic. I didn't do much to them other than just increase their intensity a little bit. I set their intensity up to 3. I gave them shadows so that they could cast shadows now. So what I have right now is this with the darker skybox and with the lights. Oh, I did also edit the dance moves just a little bit because at the end of the last video, I noticed that the back row of dancers was kind of creeping forward. So I took the dances that I had and I set their Z positions to not change. Remember how we did that? By selecting the dances, and then over here, we baked their Y position so they don't move through the floor, and I baked their XZ positions so that they wouldn't move forward. So that's what I have right now. Now, I don't love these dance moves. When I did them in the last video, I just kind of grabbed the first 4. I wasn't really paying a lot of attention to them. So what I want to do now is I do want to fix up some of them. This last dance move that I chose was this one. And the problem with this dance move is that you start with your feet in the air. So when my characters transition to that dance move, it does not look natural at all. Let me see if I can show you. So we've got the dance moves here. They're going pretty good. Everything's fine. I think that's the first dance move right there. And then we're moving on to the second dance move. Is that still the first one? That might still be the first one. You'll see the fourth one when we get to it, because the fourth one looks weird. Okay, I think this is the second move. And then the third move, and this is the fourth move. You saw how he just kind of out of nowhere, he was on the floor, right? So obviously that dance move didn't fit the other ones. There was no smooth transition. So we're going to make some changes to the animator here real quick. I am going to delete that fourth move since it does not transition well. And I'm going to put a different move there instead. I found one. Which one was it? I think it was this one. Where he starts standing and then he goes down, does this little spin. I thought that looked pretty cool. So what I want to do is I'm going to put that in there instead. And now I did notice if you're watching the video, you can kind of see the grid changes just a little bit there. Do you see that little mini box that appeared? That's warning me that he doesn't stay on the floor. So I already know that I'm going to have to bake his Y position for this dance move. So let me go ahead and do that. Bake his Y so he doesn't sink through the floor. And we're going to apply it. There we go. Now, I could bake the other moves as well. In fact, it doesn't hurt to just go ahead and bake the XZ as well, because that is going to be one. I don't want him moving forward or back. I want them to stay where they are because they have the lights on them, right? So I really don't want them to change their XZ position, or else it's going to mess up the alignment with the lights. I'm not worried about the rotations. So some dance moves, after they do them, they may be facing a different direction than when they started. For this game, for what I'm doing, I don't care about that. For yours, you might care about that. So you might want to bake the rotations as well, but I'm not worried about them rotating. If they happen to rotate, it's not a big deal. All right, so I've got my move. So I want to talk about what I want to do next here. With this move, I want you to notice, okay, so floor is no longer moving. He does this little spin. So at the end of this move, his feet are in the air. That's not a good place to stop. I need him to come back down. Now, I could go digging through all these dance moves and try to find one that lines up with that. And I'm sure there is one, because these all came from Mixamo. So I'm pretty sure they had a move that brings him back down. But instead of doing that, what I want to do, just to make it easier for myself, and let me show you some cool stuff here. I'm going to take the dance move that I just put in here. I'm going to duplicate it. So Control D to duplicate. So now I have a second move that's identical to the first one. I want you to notice over here on the right-hand side, there are stats that I can change about these moves. We didn't talk about this last video, but there are stats you can change about these moves, including the speed. So if I want a move to be faster or slower, I can change the speed. So if let's say the speed's 1 right now, which is the original speed, right? So if I change any of these dance move speeds to 2, the move would happen twice as fast. If I change the speed to 0.5, it would happen half as quickly, right? It would be a slower move. But there's something else you can do. You can put a negative number. What do you suppose is going to happen if I switch this move to -1? Here's the cool thing. By switching the speed to -1, it actually plays the animation in reverse. So whereas this move normally starts on his feet and then goes into a spin, if I play it at -1, it starts at the spin and then goes to his feet. So it's like I'm playing the move backwards. I'm literally playing that same animation backwards. So that's why I'm using it twice. The first one's going to be normal. The second one's going to be reversed, and that will put him back on his feet. So pretty cool. Let's go ahead and put the transitions in here and see how it works. I haven't tested this, so this will be my first time seeing it too. I'm going to put all these transitions in place. There we go. Oh, I should also mention there's some other things here. Another one you might find interesting is mirror. Mirror just does the same dance move, but in the opposite direction, right? So if he normally kicks and walks to the left, you put in mirror and he might kick and walk to the right. So it's a mirror image. So if you wanted to change any of your dances to mirror image, you could. Okay, so I've got my dance moves in here. I've got the break dance move, and then I have them coming back down, and then it should repeat. Let's see what this looks like. I'm excited to see this. There we go. So this is the first move again, which is kind of long. Now we got the second move. Going to the third move. Here we go with the spin. All right, so that was a little chaotic. Cardboard Man doesn't spin very well, but the other ones did pretty good. All right, so my Cardboard Man seems to be a little bit buggy. You noticed how he's doing the same moves they're doing it, but his seem to be a little bit less controlled. I'm looking at my code here, and I'm realizing my 3 guys in the back, they all have the animator turned on, but they also have root motion turned on. Whereas the Cardboard Man does not have root motion turned on. Let's see if that makes a difference. His movements do seem to be closer to the other ones now. Let's see if the head spinning messes him up or if he does it the same way they do it. Oh yeah, looks like it's working. Cool. Cool. It worked. All right. So I guess if your character doesn't animate correctly, if they bug out, you might want to make sure you turn on root motion. Because root motion, as the description says here, it automatically moves the object using the motion from the animations. So it's a little bit more controlled. All right, cool. So I've got my characters. I've got animations that are decent. Now, of course, I could make this longer. I could put more moves in here if I wanted to. But for the sake of this video, we're just going to stop the dance moves there. I want to talk about animating other things that are in my world. So you can animate literally anything. Now, this part, if you did the other lessons, then this part shouldn't be too new or surprising to you because we did animate other stuff. Like we've animated in the one lesson, we animated the sun. In another lesson, we animated a platform. So what I'm talking about doing today is animating the camera and animating the lights. Literally anything can be animated, right? All you can do is animate the objects in the inspector window. Anything that's in the inspector window can become part of the animation. For instance, if I wanted to, I could make these buildings grow taller during the video by changing their scale as part of an animation. There's so much you can do with animation. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and animate the camera real quick. And I am going to move fast because these ideas are not really new, but I just want to show you how simple coding animation can be once you get used to it, right? So I'm going to select the main camera. I'm going to go down here to the animation tab that I've set up before. And I'm going to click Create. And we're going to just go ahead and call this one camera. All right, so I've got a camera animation I'm about to create. What I want the camera to do is I want it to move around while the song's going on, right? So maybe it gets closer, maybe it goes high up, maybe it goes to the left or the right. I'm just going to pick some good angles. I'm going to pick some different stuff. So I'm going to be changing its position, and I'm going to be changing its rotation. So let's go ahead and add those properties. The position, and I'm also going to add the property for rotation. But you'll notice there's other things on here too. Literally all the stats that a camera has are on here. So I could adjust all sorts of crazy things. Any stat that's on the camera, I could adjust. I could adjust its field of view if I wanted to, make that an animation. I could change all sorts of crazy stuff here. But right now, I'm just worried about the position and rotation. So as I set those up, it sets up the keyframes. So you'll notice there's 3 keyframes. The one at the top is the main keyframe that controls them all. And then each of these other ones is for one of these parameters, right? One of these stats that we're changing. Now, it by default set it all for 1 second. That is way too short. So the first thing I need to think about is how long do I want my entire camera animation to take? So how long do I want it to take to go from where it started, move a couple other places, and then come back to where it started? So I'm going to zoom out on here, and I'm going to drag my last keyframe to wherever I want it to end at. Now, I can always adjust these later. That's one of the benefits of the keyframes in animation. I can change it later. So right now, I'm just going to put it at around 10 seconds. And let's say the whole thing takes 10 seconds. If that's too fast, I can move them later. So where do I want the camera to go? So right now, it starts right there. It's got a good view of the cardboard man and the dancers behind it. Once they start dancing, I'm thinking I should move in a little closer, maybe after 1 second. So I'm going to put my thing at the 1 second mark. I'm going to hit the record button. And now I just need to move the camera to wherever I want it to go after 1 second. So I'm thinking I just want it to get a little closer. So we're going to go ahead and move it up. Ooh, my stuff's blocking around. Weird. Let's fix that. I have my grid turned on. I used this when lining up the buildings. If you're not familiar with this, there's a grid snapping tool that if you have it turned on, it allows you to move things 1 meter at a time. Normally, I don't like that being on, but if you're building something like a city and you just want to line stuff up, it's an easier way to line things up because everything moves 1 meter at a time. So it's more like a grid movement, and it's a little easier for things to kind of snap in place the way you want them to, right? So I used this when I was lining up the buildings. I'm going to turn it off now so I have smooth movements for my camera. So I'm going to put the camera closer to the dancers. I can decide exactly how close I want it to be. Maybe right around here. So if I look at my options now, I can just kind of drag along the ruler. I can see what happens. It starts back here. I get a nice little zoom in right here after 1 second. And then where do I want to go next? I'm thinking I can go to the left side. Maybe I take a longer movement. Maybe it takes another 2 seconds, so around the 3 second mark. I'm going to move it over here. So I just want you guys to see how easy this is. So I'm just dragging the camera where I want it to go. Now at this point, I want to rotate it as well. So I want to have a better view of everybody, right? So I'm just dragging my position and my rotation to wherever I think will give me a good view of my characters. So right around there, maybe. That seems pretty good. So let's take a look at it again. So it starts here, it zooms in there, it goes over here. That's pretty neat. Where do I want to go next? Maybe I want it to go up above. Maybe I want to get a shot from up above. So I could move this. Oop. Okay, I made my mistake. I don't want this to happen at this point in time. I want it to happen over there. But you know what? I'll just move it when I'm done. So I'm going to move it over here. I want to rotate it so I get a good view of what's happening. Okay, so it's kind of crooked. Let's rotate it around. Trying to get it lined up to whatever I think will be best. Okay, I don't like that rotation. That's pretty bad. Let's rotate this back down a little bit. Ooh, this is messy. So I'm doing a terrible job with this one. All right, here we go. That's pretty close. Now I can also, of course, change the numbers up here. So maybe I want to even some of these out. Maybe I want it to look straight down. What would straight down be? Here, let's set these back at 0 so I can kind of see what I'm dealing with here. At 0, it's facing that way. And I just wanted to oh, I'm going the wrong way. There we go. I want this part facing down, straight down, so that is the X. I need it to be a little bit higher up, I think. Let's go a little higher up. There we go. 108's not bad, but I do need it to be the other way, so let's rotate it. Around here. All right, now I'm not even looking at them. Oh, I'm too far ahead. All right. Sometimes getting the right angle can be a little tricky. So it looks like my X might need to be 90. Yeah, 90 looks like it's straight down. Okay. So let me move it forward a little bit. And just to the left a little bit. I'm trying to center it pretty close. Maybe a little bit higher up. There we go. All right. So I did mention I put this at the wrong time spot. I don't want this to happen right here. So how do I move this? Well, first, let's get out of record mode. You don't want to record unless you're making changes still, right? I'm going to get out of record mode because I don't want to make these changes. I don't want to save more keyframes. I want to move the keyframe I currently have that I put in the wrong spot. So let me drag this up to around, I think around the 6-second mark should probably look good. Let's see what it looks like in the little window there. So I do a zoom in, pan around to the left. I go up above them, do a little twisting around, and then I go back down here. Okay, so the twist was kind of weird. I don't love the twisting that I did. Why did that happen? Let's see. So if I'm looking at the rotation, did any of them go? All right, so it looks like if you look at the Y here, the Y was negative. It was negative 124. And now it's positive 162. So how far did I rotate? That would be about 280 degrees that I moved. So instead of moving 280 degrees, I'm going to do a little bit of math here. Instead of moving 280 degrees, which is a lot, I'm going to do 360 minus 280 gives me, will give me 80. Yeah, that'll be 80. Okay, so I'm going to rotate it. Instead of rotating it that far, I'm going to only rotate it 80 degrees in the negative direction. So instead of I'm going to make it negative 200. Let's see what that looks like. So let's go ahead and turn my record back on. I need to make sure my white line is lined up correctly. There we go. I'm going to change this number to negative 200. So it doesn't rotate quite as much. Let me zoom in to make sure I didn't accidentally make a new keyframe. Sometimes you accidentally might make a keyframe instead of editing the original. But it does look like I edited the original. Okay, cool. I didn't see any extra diamonds there. All right. So let's see what this looks like now. I'm going to get out of record mode. Let's take a look at it. So the camera zooms in. It goes to the left. It goes up above. Oh, yeah. That looks pretty good. Comes down that way. Yes, I like that. I like that. Okay, so let's see what it looks like in the actual animation. Here we go. Oh, yeah, that looks good. That looks good. And because it ends at the same place it starts, it's going to keep on doing this over and over again, right? Looks great. So now that I've done that, it does seem like it's happening maybe a little bit quicker than I want it to. Because I didn't even finish the first dance move, and I already went through the cycle twice. So let me change the times on that. I'm going to click on the camera. Here, let's click off of it. Click on the camera again. Sometimes you have to do that. And we're just going to drag these things out. So instead of 10 seconds, because in 10 it looks like the first dance move took about 20 seconds. So I want this whole thing to take a lot longer. Maybe I should put the ending around 40 seconds. And I could put this at maybe around 30. And I can kind of play around with where I want these to go and how long I want them to happen. So right now I'm spacing them out about 10 seconds each is what I'm doing. And it doesn't have to be exactly 10 seconds, but, you know, then we can see what it looks like. So the cool thing is once you make your keyframes, you can put them wherever you want to put them, right? So now the camera is still animated, but you can notice it's going a lot slower than it was before. Because now it has these long stretches between them. Yeah, this is looking pretty good. I like it. So yeah, feel free to set your camera up however you want to set it up. Put it at different angles, different positions, get good views of what's happening. So here I can see the spin's about to happen, and we can see it from up above. Cool, cool, cool. And now we're coming back down, and they're starting it over. So not bad. Not bad. All right. So that was cameras. Lights, same deal. You can animate whatever you want to, right? Now I've got 4 lights in my world. What I'm going to do is I'm going to animate one of them. Now I could give each light its own animation, or I could have all the lights do the same thing, right? So I kind of have to decide that in my world. Do I want every light to do its own animation, or do I just want to make them all match? But we're going to go ahead and start with the first one here. And just to show you real quick, I'm just going to call it light. We're going to go ahead and record. So instead of clicking add property, maybe I don't know yet what I want my property to be. So I'm just going to go ahead and record at 0 without knowing what property I'm going to change yet. And we're going to go ahead and start making changes over here. So let's say I want the color to change. Maybe it should start. You know what? Let's start white. We'll leave it white to start. Maybe I decide to make it start a little bit brighter. So I'm going to start it with an intensity of 5. So by doing that, you'll notice the keyframe got created for the light intensity, right? What else do I want to change about it? Maybe I want... Where's the thing that has to do with its angle? I know there's an angle somewhere. Oh, shape. It's in the shape section. Here we go. So I can change this part if I want to. Maybe at the beginning, I want it to be smaller. Well, I kind of like that. Make it a nice small light at the beginning. Cool. So here you can see I've got 3 things now that are changing, and they're all saved as keyframes. Anything else that I want to change at the beginning? No, I think that's good. So now let's go ahead and make another keyframe somewhere else. And for this keyframe, we'll make it a little bit quicker. We're going to go ahead and have the spotlight open up. There we go. So the first animation will just be it opening up for what I'm doing. And then after a little bit of time, and keep in mind, these are in seconds. So that was very quick that the first one happens. I might need to move that later. Maybe I should go ahead and move it now. Let's make it about half a second. So half a second for the light to go from a small beam to a bright light. Then at the 1 second mark, we will go ahead and set a color for it. I'll make it red. Ooh, I don't like that. Let's do a different shade of red. We'll do this shade of red. Okay. Then sometime later, maybe a second later, maybe I'll space these all out by a second for now, and I can change it after that. Go from red. We'll just do the primary colors. We'll go blue. Okay, I kind of like that. We can do another one down here. I'll make that one green. So it's going to transition from red to blue to green. And everything's good. Eventually, I do want it to go back to the original settings, though. So we can wait off on that for now. Let's do red, blue, green. And yeah, actually, that's fine. Do I want to change the brightness or anything else during all of this? Maybe in between the color changes, I can have the intensity fade to like a 1. I can do that here, and I can do that. Oh, I should switch these back to 5 then, probably. So my point here is you can just kind of do whatever the heck you want to do and have a great time doing it. All right. And then we'll switch this one to a 1. Oh, that one is a... I'm forgetting where I switched it. This one was supposed to be 5. All right. Okay. So then at the end, we're just going to copy this whole thing because you do want the last keyframe to match the first keyframe if you're doing an animation that loops. So I'm going to go ahead and do copy this, Control C to copy that whole thing. And then back here, when I want it to end, we will do a paste. Control V to paste it. So we should have it changing colors and all that. Okay. So it looks like my spotlight thing is changing too soon. The shape is changing too soon. So let's put right around here before the end, let's put the shape back to what it was. So right here is where's the maximum? This was small. This was maximum. So let's copy this keyframe. Let's just copy this whole thing. Control C, and I'm going to put that down here. Control V, there we go. So now let's look at it. It gets big, it gets red, blue, green, then it gets small again. There we go. I like it. So there's a lot of keyframes here, which might be intimidating, but it really wasn't that hard. You saw how quickly I did it, right? So I'm going to get out of record mode, and let's just watch what happens. So while the other animations are happening, while the dancing's happening, while the camera's moving, that light is changing colors, and it's changing angles, and it's changing brightness. It's doing all sorts of things. And it actually doesn't look half bad. I could kind of keep it at that. So now I'm going to go ahead and put it on my other spotlights. So let's go ahead, grab the animation was called, the controller was called Spotlight, right? So I'm going to go ahead and put it on my other three. They don't have an animation right now, so I'm going to go ahead and put the animator on them. Controller. Looking for spotlights. There it is. So now when I play it, all four of my lights should do the same animation. There we go. So my lights all have the same animation, even while the camera's moving. Now I could always add more stuff. Maybe I don't want it to just change those things. I could also have my lights change position. I could also have my lights change rotation. Maybe I want them to move around and catch them from different angles, casting shadows in different directions. I can do all of that with lights, because literally any stat in the inspector window, I can animate. That's what I wanted to make sure you guys understood in this video. So I'm going to go ahead and end this video. I hope you have fun creating your dance videos. I would definitely recommend you record them, post them on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram or somewhere where you can show them off, right? So I'll see you guys next time. If you learned something new today, please click that like button. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe to this channel. I look forward to continuing to show you guys more stuff about Unity or other ways to program games and fun things on your computer. All right, see you guys next time.